Welcome back to another Rest, Eat, Move podcast. Today we're going to talk about omega-3 fatty acids. And to me, this is the essential fat for optimal health. But I would say this is the essential nutrient for thriving health. And why do I say that? Because sometimes we get so caught up into the macronutrients, like what's the best protein, what's the best fat, what's the best carbohydrate. When it comes to omega-3s, I think it's the secret nutrient that most people are missing. And you may be asking, why is everybody missing these omega-3s? Think about this. A grass-fed cow has more omega-3 fatty acids. And so if most of the cow or beef that we eat is farm-raised in the sense of corn-fed and these large places where they're farming these cows, then we're going to have low omega-3 fats. The fish don't have as much algae. The cows don't have as much grass. Collectively, our food doesn't have as many nutrients, specifically omega-3 fats. And I call this the missing nutrient because it's not what we're eating, it's what we're not eating that we're going to focus on today. And so a lot of the noise out there is we shouldn't eat seed oils, omega-6 fats, and the processed foods, and all that is really, really important. Hence our food target, trying to make the upgrades. But when we focus on cutting out these foods, let's just say we cut out all seed oils, we will have to replace it. And you may say, well, naturally you replace it with healthier fats, specifically omega-3s, and maybe some healthy saturated fats, maybe some monounsaturated fats like olive oil. But I like to focus it in the positive standpoint. What foods should we eat versus what foods shouldn't we eat? And that's what omega-3s, in my opinion, really help to accomplish when it comes to our health. It's not what you're eating, it's what you're not eating. And 95% of the population is deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. We're just not getting it in our food system. So we got to look pretty closely. We got to look all around. We got to lift up a couple rocks and figure out how do we get more omega-3s into our diet. Now, here's where we begin today. There's 50 trillion cells in the human body. And when you think about our health and when you think about nutrition, it all begins at the cell level. So there's 50 trillion cells. I'm going to start at the center of the cell. The center of the cell is your RNA, DNA, that's your nucleus. A lot of people think that that's the most important part of the cell. It's very, very important. But you're going to see in a second, we really don't have a lot of control over that, specifically at the nucleus. Inside that nucleus is a bunch of fluid, different pieces of the cell, but there's this thing called the mitochondria. That's your metabolism. That's your car engine. That's what we have the opportunity to influence when it comes to energy via nutrition. But the outer perimeter of the cell is this thing called the cell membrane. And when you look up at what the cell membrane is made out of, the cell membrane is made out of these omega-3 fatty acids. It's what makes that cell membrane flexible. So if 95% of us are deficient omega-3 fatty acids, it's safe to say a large percent of us are going to struggle to have a flexible cell membrane. Now, why do we need a flexible cell membrane? Because it controls what comes in the cell and what goes out of the cell. And it creates that fluidity in that cell membrane, and it kind of acts as the gatekeeper to what goes in the cell. So if we have too many processed foods, too many omega-6 fatty acids, too many of these foods that we know we shouldn't be eating, what happens is that cell membrane gets stiff and rigid. An example of a disease that can happen is type 2 diabetes. But here's the diseases, here's the symptoms that we're seeing when people are deficient or not consuming enough omega-3 fatty acids. Memory issues, focus issues, hormonal imbalances, different communications that are not happening in the right way. That's what hormones do. They're a chemical messenger. Inflammation. Inflammation leads to 99% of disease and illness. We got to keep that inflammation managed. Cholesterol imbalances, erectile dysfunction, blood pressure, eye health, skin issues, acne, psoriasis, dry skin. These are some of the symptoms that happen when we're deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. Again, 95% of the population is deficient in these omega-3 fatty acids. So today, as I kind of think about this, and you've heard us talk about omega-3s, obviously, if you're familiar with on-target living, but if you're not familiar with omega-3s, if you're not familiar with on-target living, if you've never tried cod liver oil, this might be for you to share to somebody, or if it's your first time listening, we need to find these omega-3s through what we call superfoods. Now, I want to make a little bit of reference of why I use the word superfoods versus supplements. Now, there's an article that just came out, and this is an example of why there's so much information and it creates so much confusion. And there's an article that came out, and the title of the article is Why Fish Oil Supplements Can Be Dangerous for our Heart. Now, for many, many years, and it's one of the most studied nutrients for heart health is omega-3 fatty acids. It's been studied, it's been researched, it's been proven that omega-3 fatty acids help to make the heart healthier. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Now, why would this article come out? And the article, again, is Why Fish Oil Supplements Can Be Dangerous for Your Heart. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, because you're not seeing this article in front of you, the main picture that they use is a fish oil gel capsule, and it's trying to get us to kind of have that fear-based, something I thought was good is now bad. And it's a very common thing in our society to get people scared and maybe to do a different action. Now, pretty much what the article is saying, and it's a observational study, so they observe people via surveys, and it's in it's in Europe, and pretty much what it's saying is these people had different heart issues, whether it's atrial fibrillation or some type of cardiovascular symptom, and they took a survey, and those people, based on their study, the people that had more risk factor for cardiovascular disease happened to be taking fish oil supplements. But when you read through this article, and where this article really goes sideways is it's all about this supplementation. They don't care about quality, what type of fish is it, what's actually in that fish oil on top of the omega-3 fatty acids. And then it leads you down this path, and it says if you want to take fish oil supplements, we recommend you go to a pharmaceutical grade fish oil. Why am I saying this? Because you're going to see articles like this for every single nutrient or supplement that's on the market, because there's always going to be an opposite side or an opposite nutrient that people are trying to promote. I don't know why this article came out, but my point is the cod liver oil, the fish oil, the omega-3 fatty acids that we're going to recommend on this podcast specifically are not going to lead to heart issues. And so we want to get that out of the way. A lot of people have emailed and called and said, hey, did you see this article? This article to me is so poorly written and so poorly demonstrates that we try to scare people by not really focusing on really what people are looking for. And what we're looking for here is what foods can we eat. And that's why I use the word superfoods versus supplements. I don't look at, and I'm going to talk about flaxseed and chia seed and cod liver oil. I don't look at these as supplements. I look at these as foods or superfoods that are going to give us some of these nutrients that we're missing. Now, they may be coined supplements from the FDA, but specifically, you can look and find the food version of them, the closest to nature as possible, and that's when they become a superfood. Now, if it's just about the nutrients and it's synthetic and they're manipulating it and they're distilling it and heating it up, now we're talking about a supplement, and that's where this article, in my opinion, got it wrong. These are not talking about superfoods. These are talking about mass-produced supplements as cheap as possible, any grocery store, any website. What we're talking about today is the highest quality superfoods to get us these omega-3s. Okay, back to the kind of the point of this podcast. What are the benefits of omega-3s? So we know 95% of us are deficient. It's this missing nutrient. Here's the 4 big benefits. The first benefit is heart health. And I just went over this article talking about how it leads to heart issues. One of the greatest benefits of omega-3 fats is it helps protect and also improve heart health or our cardiovascular system. How does it do that? It does it by improving vessels, blood pressure. It's going to help with blood clots. It's anticoagulant. It's a natural blood thinner. It reduces triglycerides. These are all good, positive things. And so when you think about omega-3s, there's three types of omega-3s. There's ALA, which we'll talk comes mostly from plant. And then there's DHA and EPA, and this is going to come from fish. DHA is really good for our eyes and our brain, and the EPA is going to be really good for inflammation and our heart. Now, a couple things to think about. In the 35 years my father, Chris, has been doing this, the 15 plus years that I've been doing this, we've never not got someone off their cholesterol medication by getting those cholesterol profile numbers in balance when they start to improve or increase the omega-3 fatty acids. So this is the number one medication in the world. A lot of people think and relate cholesterol to heart risk, which is not true. That's for another podcast, but they're not correlated in the way that we once thought. But we've never not had someone get off their cholesterol medication by improving their omega-3 intake. That's how powerful omega-3s are. So number one, heart health. Number two, brain health. I talked about DHA. You see DHA in infant formulas, prenatal vitamins, talking about it for kids when they're developing their eyes and their brain. Well, if we want to protect our brain, now most of us living are probably going to live into our 90s. We're living longer for the most part, yet we're seeing an exponential increase of brain issues, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS. And when these myelin sheath or the nerve protective coating, this myelin sheath starts to break down via inflammation, we're not able to keep that brain as healthy as we can. And so brain health is a big component, number two, on the benefits. Number three is hormones. Now here's where it becomes a superfood. I would never recommend going to get a fish oil or omega-3 supplement from a big box store if you have no idea what's in it. We now know, just like olive oil, is a lot of the fish oils are counterfeit. They're putting a little bit of omega-3s and they're putting maybe a little olive oil and a little bit of this and a couple different properties, and they're calling it a fish oil or omega-3 supplement. Why do we talk about superfoods? Because one of the things specifically with cod liver oil, which is one of the omega-3s that we'll get into, is it's the highest food source of vitamin D naturally that you can consume. All foods, the highest food source of vitamin D naturally is cod liver oil. But your omega-3s and the vitamin D specifically are going to help to improve that hormonal balance via making those cells healthier, making the vessels better, making your blood flow more efficiently, and specifically getting ourselves that vitamin D3. Whether it's hormonal replacement therapy or erectile dysfunction, omega-3s are tremendously impactful on improving hormonal health. And then number four, inflammation. And this is the holy grail. This is the root cause. We need to improve our inflammation, which then translates into better immune function. And so it's a natural anti-coagulant. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. Again, we've never not had someone not get off their cholesterol medication. The big reason is we're reducing inflammation, reducing that impact that the body has from free radicals via the omega-3s. So just to recap, heart health, brain health, hormones, inflammation, which leads to this immune function. So a couple ways to get your omega-3 fats. And I think this is what, when people are listening, what do I need to do? I talked about ALA. That's one of the omega-3 fatty acids. It can convert to DHA and EPA, but it's not very efficient. And so the way that you get ALA is through flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. These are some versions of your ALA. Now, DHA and EPA, this is going to come from your fish, mackerel, salmon, cod, sardines. These are some of the ways that to get your omega-3s. We recommend a fish oil supplement or superfood, specifically cod liver oil. And again, let me recap why cod liver oil. There's so many different fish oils on the market. You have anchovies and sardines, which is usually going to be called fish oil. You have krill oil, which is going to be a crustacean. I never recommend krill oil. It's probably the most toxic in the Totox levels of any of the fish oils. Not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not something that I recommend when we have options. But cod liver oil, specifically our Alaskan cod liver oil, the way they catch the cod, it's the highest source of vitamin D of any food on the planet. And so instead of taking a D3 supplement, you can take it via a superfood like cod liver oil. Now, one of the great things about the way that they fish Alaskan cod liver oil is they line catch it, they freeze it on the boat. This reduces oxidation, so the taste and the nutrients are preserved. And when I say taste is preserved, it's not preserving the fishy taste. It's actually allowing it not to be too fishy because it doesn't oxidize. But it also has these things called pre and pro-resolving mediators. Now, these are the newest nutrients that are studied in these omega-3s. What's a pre and pro-resolving mediator? It's the beginning nutrient to help reduce inflammation. Now, most fish oils, the fish oil on this article that they're studying, these are not going to have pre and pro-resolving mediators because these get lost very quickly in processing and when foods and fish start to break down. And so that's one of the properties in our cod liver oil is the pre and pro-resolving mediators. Now, as we kind of wrap this up and I kind of get you to think about the missing nutrient, 95%, and I'm just going to say it, 95% of most people listening, and not our audience, because most of our audience is probably doing the omega-3 fats, but your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, your family members, 95% of us are missing enough omega-3 fatty acids. If we take that a step further, about 98 to 90%, 99% of our kids are not getting enough omega-3 fatty acids. It's not in our cattle. It's not in our fish. It's not in our processed foods. We're eating more calories than ever before with way less nutrients. And so as I began today talking about, it's not what you're eating, it's what you're not eating. And what we're not eating is enough omega-3 fatty acids. And what we want to understand is all about this ratio. When we have a good omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, the body's in harmony. We have low inflammation, our immune system can thrive, our brain can develop and protect, our hormones are functioning, our cells are thriving, we have the nutrients that give us some of these raw materials to build hormones. And these are vital structures to every cell in the human body, 50 trillion cells, and that cell membrane is made of these omega-3 fatty acids. So here's a couple takeaways. Whether you're already doing this, you need a reminder, or this is brand new, here's what I do every single day. And I recommend for all my clients and people that I educate. You need 1 to 2 tablespoons of flaxseed or chia seeds 5 times a week. If you want to do it every single day, great. 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax or chia seeds 5 times a week. Now, the flax seeds have to be ground up or you're not going to consume the omega-3 benefits. Flax seeds also have fiber, protein, antioxidants, lignans. They're amazing superfood or super seed. Chia seeds, again, very high in omega-3s, also high in magnesium. You don't have to grind. 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons 5 times a week. I put it in my smoothie. I put it in my kids' applesauce, however you can get the flax and chia seeds. Second thing, first thing in the morning after I do my wheatgrass, which is another topic and another superfood, is I eat breakfast and I have a tablespoon of cod liver oil. Our Alaskan cod liver oil, we've searched the planet high and low. We have the only U.S. caught cod liver oil in the world. It's line caught, flash frozen on the boat, and to me locks in those key nutrients that we're missing. 1 tablespoon first thing in the morning because it has to be refrigerated. Now, when we do presentations and when we started really educating people on omega-3s, it's not what you know, it's not what you hear, it's what are you going to do? And as a society, we're not doing the right things. We don't have the right habits built for the health that we deserve, in my opinion, and the health that I think a lot of us want. But sometimes we're confused on what habits to do and what's the best way, what's the most efficient way. And what ends up happening is we over-supplement. We come up with the easy button, gummy bears and gel capsules. And so most people that have never consumed cod liver oil or even flax seeds, and all I tell them is to consume flax seeds and cod liver oil, they're probably going to buy and find a more efficient way to consume these products. But yet, most of the time, the efficient way that's marketed is not the most potent way and actually the most optimal way. If you take flaxseed through a gel capsule, you're going to need 15 to 20. If you take fish oil through a gel capsule, you need 7 to 10. And so what ends up happening is we don't get the right dosage. So here's the dosage. We need 1,500 milligrams of DHA and EPA a day. And like I said, we need 1 to 2 tablespoons of the ALA through flax and chia. And if we can get this every single day, like a cup of coffee, it's a habit. We reduce inflammation. We help balance cholesterol profile. Our hormones start to thrive because it has the raw material. Our heart, our cardiovascular system is really revving at all-time high. Blood pressure is under control. We're thinning the blood a little bit. Our triglycerides are in balance. And so if you're listening and you're doing the cod liver oil, you're doing the 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax and chia, keep doing it. If you know someone that could really benefit, share this podcast. Share a couple of these tidbits of information. I think the one thing that wakes people up is 95% of us are deficient in this omega-3 fatty acid that we need to consume because we don't make it naturally. And so if we need this nutrient, yet the body doesn't make it, what ends up happening is that cell starts to get stiff and rigid, and that's where disease starts to kick in. Most of the time, it's not disease first, it's symptoms first. Memory, focus, hormones, inflammation, ED, cholesterol, blood pressure, eye health, skin, hair, nails. Again, I could go on and on and on. Omega-3s are the missing nutrient. 95% of us are missing this nutrient. You got to find a way to get these high-quality omega-3s. In our opinion, flaxseed, chia seeds, and Alaskan cod liver oil. And as we wrap up today, I want you to think about all the foods that we know we shouldn't eat, all the noise around all processed foods, and I think a lot of that's great information. But I don't think we're focusing enough on what foods should we eat. You hear about supplements and things, but what foods should we eat? I think here's the 3 foods that I would have in everyone's diet. Flax seeds, chia seeds, and some type of cod liver oil. In our opinion, Alaskan cod liver oil is the best way to get it. Being in the United States, U.S. caught, frozen on the boats, it has those pre and pro resolving mediators. And so shoot me a note. If you never had cod liver oil before and you start to consume cod liver oil, watch our video. It doesn't taste bad at all. It's all about the belief. And the belief that I want you to take away is the human body is magical. But if you're not giving it the secret nutrient or the missing nutrient, you're not going to be able to reap those benefits that the body's trying to do. Have a great week. We'll see you again next time. And remember, we need omega-3 fatty acids. Bye-bye.